Perfect. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Ayurvedic Association of Canada monthly webinar. And we have a wonderful speaker this evening, Vaidya Sandeep. How do you say your last name?
Jassal.
Jassal? Jassal.
Yeah.
Very well educated in the field of Ayurveda and is a holistic wellness and weight management consultant in Surrey. He's going to take over in a couple of minutes. He has a doctoral degree in natural medicine from Canada, a medical degree in Ayurveda from India. I'm assuming that wasn't in your notes, but you can add on to it too, Sandeep, if you'd like. His website is, I think, Lifestyle or Live
Life More.
Live More.
Live Life More.
Live Life More.
Life More.
Live Life More. Perfect. He's a health speaker and an enthusiast of Ayurveda, as we all are, being here, doing what we're doing. And he's going to speak on an Ayurvedic perspective and probably a Western perspective of metabolic syndrome. So I will let Sandeep take over and enjoy the presentation. I'm really looking forward to it. So you can take over, Sandeep, and anything I've missed in terms of something you'd like to say about yourself, please do.
So my presentation is visible to, thank you very much, Erika, for having me over here. First of all, this is really a privilege to be meeting you all, discussing, not at all lecturing, but discussing and sharing whatever I know and learning from you what we need to do further to progress our knowledge and our approach. Am I able to, are you able to see my presentation, the slide, Ayurveda and metabolic diseases? Okay.
Yeah. You can also see the cursor at the top. If you'd like to get rid of that and just make it a presentation, you can, or just keep it the way it is, whatever works for you.
So my view gallery and multi-speaker. So I'm just wondering, I'm so sorry, I'm just wondering where to get the slideshow from. So the view.
It should be in whatever format you made the slideshow up in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here it is. Yeah. Great. So you can turn me towards speaker preview and then I'll start my presentation. It's a brief presentation. I realize that we would be giving more time to our discussion in a Q&A session. And my interest in metabolic syndrome is roughly around 30 years old when I was graduating. In India, we say graduating. Over here, that degree is undergraduating. The 6 years bachelor's of Ayurvedic medicine and surgery. When my cousin brother, who was a very fit, otherwise a fit guy, used to play squash, was employed in the capital of India, that is Delhi. He was an engineer. And I got to know one day that he suddenly collapsed after a game of squash. And as soon as he was brought by his colleagues and his fellow players to his room, his chamber in the office, he was playing squash in his office and he collapsed and he succumbed to a massive cardiac arrest. That was something which was a great loss to me because he was a kind of a hero, kind of an idol for me to follow. In spite of such a good sporting activity which he was in habit of playing, we lost him. I recollected that he used to discuss his dyslipidemia, that is his high cholesterol values in his blood, which his doctor used to warn, and he kind of didn't listen to him, and that cholesterol might have occluded or obstructed some of the blood vessel, in the heart when the heart was under a tremendous uh, workload while playing squash. We all know that squash is very, very aggressive game. So that was a personal driving factor for me to do something about this. I lost my cousin brother, and I started thinking about doing something about awareness towards metabolic syndrome, against heart disease, premature dyslipidemia, which is the disturbed values or elevated values of cholesterol levels. And then I joined a postgraduate program in preventive and promotive healthcare with one of the biggest hospital chains of Asia at that time, Apollo Group of Hospitals in Hyderabad. And I was there for 2 years, and I was the one who was one of the founding team members of a specifically designed focus department of lifestyle diseases. And I wanted to bring holistic healthcare into the modern medicine aspect because modern medicine takes care of many factors, biochemical factors like cholesterol. Diabetes means blood glucose. But there are so many other factors which play a role in one's health: psychosomatic factors, social factors, spiritual health and well-being, social health and well-being. So we, according to the WHO, World Health Organization's definition of health, we should envisage or cover all the factors of health in a state of total health and well-being, where it is a complete state of physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, emotional well-being. So I started focusing on that. And in this department of lifestyle medicine, I was focusing on holistic healthcare. And after that, I did my master's MD in alternative medicine. So this is a brief disclaimer of whatever I have brought is all research from NIH, that is National Institute of Health. All the researches which I'm going to present today, they have been published. The studies have been published, and I have, you know, accumulated some of the readings from all sorts of well-researched sources to, present my presentation. This is my brief profile. I have been a National Diabetes Educator Program, Certified Diabetes Educator Program, Certified Educator for Diabetes. So metabolism, as you know, my forte, metabolic syndrome, metabolic diseases, and then Advanced Cardiovascular Life Support Provider Program by American Heart Association. So Medieval Heart Institute is very close to my heart because that is a place where I was a part of the preventative healthcare unit, and I was heading that department, and I was a managing partner. That is where I learned a lot to work with the modern medicine doctors, with the cardiologist, with the diabetologist, and fuse or integrate my knowledge and bring results which are so much, uh, you know, uh, well received by all my patients all across the last 25 years. Now, the definition of metabolic syndrome, according to modern medicine, is abdominal obesity or central obesity or accumulation of fat or adipose tissue around the waist, which means in men, if the circumference is more than 40 inches, in women, if the circumference is more than 35 inches, hypertriglyceridemia, when we go for our blood work, when we go for our test, blood test, and we get to know about cholesterol profile, or we call it lipidogram or lipid profile. In that, triglycerides, if they are above 150 mg per dl and milligrams per deciliter, and then if the HDL is low, HDL is the protective cholesterol, which is our friend, which is kind of a scavenger. It cleans our arteries from inside. So those blockages which are created by triglycerides and bad cholesterol, that is LDL, they are cleaned, swept across, broomed, by HDL. But if we have low HDL, then I tell my patients that we have bad elements in the society and we also have good elements. Good elements are kind of peacekeeping force like army or police force. And bad elements are the criminals, which are all across, you know, the community or neighborhood or society. But if the peacekeeping force, police or army, is less in strength, then the bad elements can easily create a damage or a situation, right? So LDL should be uh, good in number. If it is less than 40 mg per dl in women, if it is less than 50 mg per dl, then it is supposed to be considered to be low. High blood pressure, even a borderline blood pressure like 130 by 85, that is systolic blood pressure of 130 and 85 is the diastolic, the lower one. If we have anything above that, then we have one tick mark for being a candidate for metabolic syndrome. Then fasting blood glucose. Fasting blood glucose of roughly around 6.1 in the morning, according to Canadian standards, Canadian units. But in India, we used to say that if your fasting blood sugar is above 110 mg per deciliter. So 80 to 110 is a desirable limit of blood sugar fasting, which means 5.7 to 6.1. If you're above that, then this is another tick mark. So any of these three factors, if they are positive, then according to modern medicine, we are labeled as metabolic syndrome candidates. But Ayurveda, as we know that it is the most ancient system of healing on this earth, and it was so advanced that even at that time there was a mention and an in-depth explanation of all these syndromes. Probably at that time there was no microscope, there was no test tube, there was no blood work which was invented, and there was no lab test our blood. All that was the wisdom, the science of observation, and metaphysics, which framed the disease profiles, classification of human bodies into different three types, and the doshas or the properties which the people have. So, metabolic diseases like diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and dyslipidemia, that is disturbed cholesterol levels, they have all been mentioned in Ayurveda scriptures. And it offers a very holistic approach to manage these conditions through lifestyle, which is called ahara vihara. Vihara is behavior, ahara is the food habits. So diet is ahara, vihara is lifestyle, our habits, and some natural remedies. So we'll take you further to what were the principles which have been outlined already in Ayurveda. So balance of three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. We know that these are the three doshas which the imbalance between these creates diseases, is the origin of various diseases. So Prakriti, which is the constitution of our body, as a guide for personalized treatment. One size doesn't fit all. Like in modern medicine, if somebody has got high cholesterol, we have a family of drugs called statins. It can be rosuvastatin, it can be atorvastatin, it can be simvastatin, but it is a family of drugs called statins. So one size fits all in modern medicine. If you have cholesterol, okay, have this statin, right? Whereas in Ayurveda, we go into the depth of your constitution, your body's properties, what the body says. and what is the property, what dosha is aggravated, and what needs to be brought down, and what is the actual root cause of your cholesterol elevated values. So, herbs, dietary modifications, and therapies are prescribed as one regimen or a set of recommendations for as a regimen. And the metabolism, according to Ayurveda, is Agni. So if there is a derangement of Agni is fire. So when you see fire, you see fire on the in the fire pit in your backyard. You see fire in in a what you call fireplace in the house. When it is so cold, we light that fire which is coming out of a gas. But in body, there is no fire like that. But still, there is there is a liquid fire. It is in liquid form. It is in the form of hormones and chemicals. So hormones and chemicals, they make metabolism, they make Agni. So these chemicals and hormones, the way they make things to be utilized inside our body is metabolism according to Ayurveda. Suppose we take an example of an orange. What is orange got? Orange has got, according to modern nutrition, vitamin C. Orange has got fiber. But we eat orange and we consume it. The digestive fire breaks it down. The fiber is kept in the intestine, and the vitamin C is taken through the blood to the cells, to our body cells. So metabolization of an orange as a food has happened, and that is all the job of metabolism of the body or chemical processes which have broken that down and made the nutrients to be utilized for the body's cellular structure. So this was mentioned in scriptures. I have given a screenshot, National Library of Medicine, PubMed. This study was published, Ayurvedic concepts of obesity, metabolic syndrome, and diabetes mellitus. So Sharma H. Chandola, HM, Ayurvedic approach to metabolic diseases. So this was what was mentioned over there. And then Ayurveda and diabetes management. Actually, diabetes is a result of kapha imbalance. So I hope we know kapha is like something like which is heavy, which makes us heavier. So kapha people, kapha prakriti people, kapha nature people would be slow, would be sluggish, would be heavy in weight, and their skin would be more glossy, and it would be more snigdha, which means oily. They will reflect that aura, which makes them look oily, look fat, double chin, and having a lot of fat around the central part of the body, that is central obesity. But kapha prakriti, if we correlate this with modern medicine, who has the high risk of diabetes, central obesity, apple-shaped bodies? Those who are round from or heavier from the midsection, the truncal obesity around the trunk. So the legs or the lower limbs would be thin. There will be less muscle mass. Arms will be thin. The trunk would be heavy, and that is apple-shaped body, or we call them mesomorphs. And they usually have kapha prakriti, and kapha prakriti predisposes us to a higher risk of diabetes. And what are the key herbs to treat? Turmeric, bitter melon, fenugreek. Fenugreek has been used in Ayurveda for many, many years, thousands of hundreds of years, for treating diabetes. And it has been proven in many scientific studies. Patwardhan B. This is the name of the scientist who did the study Ayurveda and diabetes care, in which they used these three herbs and found very good results, and the sugar was lowered and whole grains were used, high fiber diet was used, and low sugar foods were used in combination with these herbs, and a daily light exercise regimen. There's no need to go for a rigorous exercise in diabetes. A sustained exercise is more important than a sprint of exercise, a spurt of exercise. Then Ayurvedic approach to manage obesity. Obesity is again linked to kapha and weak digestive fire. When our digestion, our metabolism is slow, then the calories which we are taking in, the food intake which we are taking in, our body is not able to utilize that optimally, and excess energy is left even after the digestion has taken place, which means that extra calories will be accumulated in the body in the form of adipose tissue or fat tissue. So, Triphala and Guglu. Guglu is a plant gum which has got tremendous medicinal value, medicinal properties, along with Triphala, which is three fruits. Harad, Baheda, Amla. Haritaki we call it. Baheda is Vibhitak, and Amla is Indian gooseberry. So these three herbs, combination of these three herbs is called Triphala. Guglu along with Triphala has been seen to boost fat metabolism, and it helps you break down the fat and focus on light, warm, and dry diet. Light, which is light, warm, and dry diet. So warm salads can be taken. So salads are filling because salads have got fiber, and body digests the semi-cooked salads easily than non-cooked salads. Body is able to digest, assimilate. So importance of routine, a discipline, early diners. So as we all say that, okay, people need to fast, and after the Suryasta, which means when the sun goes down, your Agni goes down, and you should not bother your bodies to digest the food with the late night dinner. No feasting. Fasting is advisable, right? And detoxification. A review of sthalya. Sthalya is a Sanskrit term used for obesity. Sthalya means heaviness. The body is heavy than what it is supposed to be, the ideal body weight. Then we have heart health in Ayurveda. Even Ayurveda has suggested it is called Hridaya Rog. Hridaya means heart, Roga means disorder. So, Ayurvedic perspective on hypertension is that it is the imbalance of Pitta and Vata. Now, anything which moves in the body is controlled by Vata, the air. The body has all its movements attributed to the Vata dosha, Vayu, air. And what is moving every moment in our body is the blood circulation. So, blood is warm, blood is warm in temperature, and blood is the one which spreads the heat all across the body. Even if we go during extreme winter, go outside and stand in extreme cold weather, -1, -5, still our body keeps ourselves warm. How? If we don't have a heater, lying in front of us, the body is still trying to warm itself up because the blood is circulating and the blood is hot, warm. So Pitta is the heat, and Vata is the one which keeps it moving. So herbs which are advisable according to Ayurveda in hypertension, high blood pressure, and heart disease are Arjuna. Arjuna gives power to the heart in pumping action. Ashwagandha, Brahmi for blood pressure management. Emphasis on low salt diet, stress reduction, and regular physical activity. This has been quoted again. There's a screenshot on the right, and that is Trivedi S. in 2010, cardiovascular diseases and Ayurveda. This is a study which mentioned in a very good way. The study was published and the paper was published. So Ayurveda in managing dyslipidemia, disturbed disorder of cholesterol values. Dyslipidemia as a result of imbalanced Agni, digestive fire, if we are not able to metabolize the oils which we are taking in. And sometimes there is a process in the body, a phenomena where extra calories get converted into extra fat circulating in the blood. So liponeogenesis is the process where we start producing lipids or fats from the extra calories which we ingest because of a defective metabolic fire that we are not able to handle that much. That is why Ayurveda is highly customized science. So Gugulu, and then which is a plant gum, garlic, turmeric to reduce cholesterol has been advised, and stress on balanced meals, mindful eating. When we say mindful eating, it should be ekagrachit with concentration. We should eat not while watching TV or a Netflix or Amazon Prime series. Why? Because we are not concentrating on our food, we are concentrating on what is happening on the TV. So mindful eating is important so that we masticate and chew our food properly. And that also has been shown or proven that putting in enough time into our eating can help us regulate the signals which are being generated by the neurotransmitters to send the message to the brain that yes, we have eaten and we are eating and we are getting full. So a natural detox practice along with the high fiber diet. So for a better metabolic health, what is the Ayurvedic lifestyle recommendations? Although this is not a one, as I gave a disclaimer that one size doesn't fit all. It depends from person to person, the family history, the personal history, the medical history, the current habits. So daily routine, that is dinacharya. Dina means day, charya means how we lead our day. So set the times for the meals. Be on time for the meals. Your body should know that yes, it is going to get food at that time. Exercise and sleep, all these things are all regulated. And then seasonal adjustments, which is called Ritucharya. In Ritucharya, we mean to say all these different weathers, we need to change and adapt our routine according to these weathers, changing climate, changing temperature conditions. So Ayurveda has laid a lot of emphasis on Ritucharya. In winters, we are advised warming foods. In summers, we are advised cooling foods, right? So importance of regular detox, that is panchakarma, which is, you know that there are 5 different ways of detoxification where we can remove the toxins from the body, and meditation and pranayama, a rhythmic breathing exercise along with meditation, which is, uh, you know that which has been shown to reduce stress because metabolic syndrome has got a lot of uh, great link between stress and metabolic syndrome. Stress increases cortisol hormone in the body. Cortisol increases our appetite. That ends up in resulting in increasing our appetite, increases our food intake, caloric intake. And when we are feeling hungry, when we have a lot of appetite, then our vivek, our prudence, our our you know, capacity to decide what is right and what is wrong for me, what is advisable and what is not for my condition, it goes out of the window. Because when I'm very hungry, my cortisol is up, my body is, wanting something. And then no matter what is lying in front of me, I would have a tendency to eat that. So, Dr. Vasant Lad, I wish if Jayashri ji is here, then Jayashri ji knows about Dr. Vasant Lad, and she has been working with him. I think some of our more Vaidyas have also worked with him. So, in conclusion, Ayurveda is a holistic approach, helps prevent and manage metabolic diseases very, very well. Personalized care through diet, herbs, and lifestyle adjustments can be very result oriented approach, focus on prevention and long term health. So, all this presentation had all these references. So, this is it. And if anyone would like to get in touch with me for any questions beyond this presentation or beyond this Zoom meeting, then this is my number 778-970-4111, and I'm based out of Surrey, BC. And livelifemore.com is my website. And drsandeepjassal at gmail.com is my address. You can take a screenshot. And I open now the, the, the session for inviting your questions, and I would love to answer them.
So Vaidya, could you take off your presentation, and then I can see who has their hand up and kind of what's happening here. Hang on.
Is it okay? Is it gone?
It's perfect. No. Just give me 1 sec. I'm trying to get the view right. There we go. Okay. So would anybody like to ask any questions? Put up your hand. I don't see any questions in the chat box, I don't think. No. I have a question, if nobody else does, to start out with. So could you speak a little bit about seasonal adjustments in, in a plan for somebody who has high cholesterol, say? Do you have a specific way that you would deal with someone with high cholesterol or with heart disease in terms of their changing, of their diet plan depending on the season?
Great question. During the winters, we sweat less, we perspire less, and we tend to have low water intake, which results in thickening of our blood or increasing the viscosity of the blood. And if somebody has already got high cholesterol, somebody's blood is already thicker, or the blood is denser, more viscous, then there is an increased risk of heart disease during winters. So in Ritucharya, the exercise that has been advised during extreme winters is a light exercise, not a rigorous exercise. See, those many years back, they had already laid down in Ritucharya that the exercise should be light. Why? Because the Agni goes up during winters, and we have a tendency of eating warming foods, and warming foods are usually laden with fat, laden with sugars, right? Laden with the high calories. That is why the winters is usually considered to be a, a period when we would gain weight. So gaining weight, we will gain weight obviously with gaining of the adipose tissue, which is body fat. But this body fat is not essentially only the body fat, which is subcutaneous fat, or a splanchnic fat, which is surrounding our organs like liver, like pancreas in the midsection. This fat is also circulating around in the form of blood, in the form of cholesterol, high cholesterol, bad cholesterol, which is LDL or high triglycerides. So it has been found, that modern medicine has also found that During winters, there is a higher risk of heart cardiovascular events, heart events. And Ayurveda 5,000 years back had outlined that there the the in Ritucharya that the body shouldn't be subject to very rigorous exercise in Ritucharya, and it should be light exercise, and it should take care, and it should have a preventive. You should have a preventive plan in place which makes sure that you don't increase your blood pressure and increase your cholesterol levels. When we go out in the winters, the skin is exposed to cold weather, and the weather, the lower temperature on the external body, that makes the blood vessels on the skin to shrink, to constrict. All the blood vessels will marginally shrink. That is why our hands become a bit stiff. That is why if we have to smile during the winters, we see that okay, there is some stiffness all over the body which is exposed, right? Then what happens? The same blood which has been circulating in the body, and we all have a same amount of blood circulating in the body. So that blood is displaced from the outer body, which is near the skin, to the central body, which is truncal circulation, which is within the body. What will happen? When the same blood has been pushed away from the skin to the internal system, circulatory system, then the internal circulatory system is under more pressure during winters when we are out. And that will impose a higher risk on the heart to handle that much of blood pressure. The heart muscle will have some more pressure. So while being at rest, or during that, even a lighter exercise of walking to the bus stop, walking to the SkyTrain station, walking to the car, shoveling the snow, our internal cardiovascular system is already under a higher pressure, and we are subjecting it to a rigorous exercise like shoveling. That is why a proper warm up is important. And this is what Ritucharya had already explained what will happen. So there is a lot of correlation of the wisdom which was shared and which now science is proving. And I really get astonished because I read a lot of modern medicine research also, and I always try to correlate. Is it how logical it is, what Ayurveda had said, and how it is correlating now during the times when we have so many double-blind studies going on to prove our to prove that yes, this happened to this gentleman because of this risk factor. So if we take an overall picture of a human being, of a client, of a patient, and we take all the biochemical values which come out of the blood work, and we correlate that with his genetic predisposition, his father, his mother's family history, his blood relations, family history, and his personal history. Suppose his parents were vegetarians, his parents were non-smokers, non-alcoholics, his brothers are non-alcoholic blood, but if his triglyceride is high, and I would go into the depth. Okay, let me know do you drink? Oh, yes, I am a social drinker. Okay, fine. What all do you like eating? There are preferences, taste preferences. He likes sweet foods, right? So high triglyceride level can be correlated to that. That is why there's a lot of customization which is required. That is why one Ayurveda consultation is not just touch and go. One Ayurveda consultation is not, okay, what problem you have? I have headache. Okay, Tylenol. What other problem you have? High cholesterol. Okay, a statin. Thank you very much. That's it. Ayurveda goes in depth in the root cause and addresses the root cause and treats the root cause.
Yeah, that's a wonderful part of Ayurveda, isn't it? And it's not 10 minutes with the Vaidya or the doctor like modern medicine. It's complete, comprehensive look at who you are as a human being, which I love.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest if someone had, can I ask another question? I guess I should ask before I just go ahead. But what would you suggest in terms of spices for someone, say, who has thicker blood and high cholesterol, seeing as we're coming into the winter season? Do you have a couple of suggestions of what kind of herbs could be put into food that may help? I know it's much more comprehensive than that, but just a few suggestions for our audience in terms of, are there some herbs or spices that you can suggest generally that would help someone not increase that cholesterol level and that kind of pressure on the heart? And cholesterol has a lot of other pieces that get involved once high cholesterol exists. But just from a food point of view, I know we can't do a presentation, but if you have some suggestions, I would really appreciate that.
See, garlic is one herb, and cinnamon is my favorite. Why cinnamon? Cinnamon has got coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is an antioxidant, and coenzyme Q10 is the igniter, an ignition plug for the cells to use the energy. And our heart muscle is made of cells, so many cells, myocardium, the heart muscle. So if there is a blood supply issue or the plumbing of the heart during the winters, because of poor perfusion, because of the poor distribution of blood or nutrients into the heart muscle, myocardium, is reduced because of the thicker blood, because of cholesterol. When cholesterol takes place, bad cholesterol occupies space in the heart, in the blood vessels, in the blood, displaces the nutrients. So there is only enough space for the blood to carry the nutrients. So if you fill a room with bad people, the good people would have a tendency not to stay in that room. Let's go out.
That's very good.
Right? So, so nutrients. What are the nutrients? Nutrients are oxygen. Nutrients are iron, right? Vitamins, minerals, which are required. So when the bad elements, the grease is obstructing and it has made the blood thicker, then coenzyme Q10, if you give uh, cinnamon, cinnamon, in spite of the low delivery, reduced delivery of nutrition to the myocardium, to the heart muscle, but it makes the heart muscle cells much more efficient in igniting and producing energy in
Fabulous.
case of emergency, right? So you are tuning up your car engine to use to spark or power production during bad times, right?
So would you suggest tea in your food, a little bit of everything and not overdoing it, or what are your suggestions?
Hydration is very important so that the blood doesn't become thicker. You are not dehydrated. I am dehydrated right now. I have water lying with me, which reminds me of that. But enough fluids orally, warm soups with the herbs like garlic, like ginger, and some spices, good spices to warm yourself, right? They are metabolic boosters, right? When we have, you know, uh, piper longum, that is the black pepper, the piperine in the black pepper that activates the bioavailability of all these herbs and nutrients which we take in the form of night, right? And what happens to us when we take, see, cayenne pepper? Cayenne pepper has been found to be useful in breaking down of the clot formation, right? So what happens? When we eat a lot of spice, what happens? Our body starts giving out heat. Our ears become a bit red. Why? Our nose becomes a bit red. Why? Because there is increased blood circulation. So when the blood circulation is increased, while sitting, without indulging in a very vigorous exercise, we have increased our blood circulation by those spices. So this is the role of these spices. So warming foods, warm foods, hot foods with these herbs and spices can protect us from the higher risk of cardiovascular disease during winters.
So let food be our medicine is pretty important in Ayurveda.
100%. I firmly believe that, and I can go hours and hours and days,
Fabulous.
speaking on that. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry I took all the time. Does anybody else have a question? You can just. Hi, Lena. Yes, please ask your question.
Hi. My question is, how do you start working with clients? I mean, do you start with the diet? Do you start with their lifestyle? Because the compliance might be an issue when you offer them to change their ways of living and the ways of eating. So I just wonder, what's your strategy, like, sequentially?
Because people, yeah. So the motivation, there is some internet connection issue. I don't know whether I'm audible or not. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, okay. So as far as compliance goes, the personal motivation of a client when he gets in touch with us, with me, is something which I need to gauge, right? Uh, user experience is very important. There are people who might get impulsive about their health, making changes, but they are not going to sustain in their efforts. And health is all about sustaining. It is creating. It is not one pill which you take in and you will be cured of metabolic diseases, right? So here, a very careful interview is very important. The initial consultation which I give is roughly around 40 minutes to 60 minutes, wherein I would like to gauge the level, and I would then, in the last 10 minutes, ask some very good questions, how ready the client is after listening to him to make those changes which are required to bring the desired results. Because expectations need to be met. But if the client is expecting results from me, then I am expecting compliance from him in return. I can put my 30 years of expertise and knowledge and I have to pack that up in a customized, tailor-made pattern in those consultations. But I am not with the client for 24 hours looking at him what he is doing. So that is his commitment towards himself and his health and commitment to me. Perhaps that is the reason that you won't find any negative review against us anywhere on the Google. Because the hand holding is so important, the empathy is so important that the client understands that my consultant, my coach is taking a responsibility, but on the basis of the responsibility which he has taken to follow, right? So it doesn't mean that the treatments have not failed. Treatments everywhere can fail, but the treatments, the responsibility of the failure, if you have downloaded everything which was required to handle that situation, then the implementation was a problem somewhere. And you tried your best to help that client implement. And still, if the client doesn't get 100% results, he realizes that he got 70% results because he put 70% efforts. But his practitioner put 100%, 150%.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question? Hang on a minute. There's in the chat. There's a question.
Yeah. Can we get the herbs?
There you go. You can see it.
Yeah. Can we get the herbs? Okay, over here in grocery stores, we get all the herbs roughly. And I don't carry any herbs. I don't sell anything. I only sell, consult on an hourly basis, on a half-hourly basis. But I don't carry anything with me. I just tell them that this is what they can get. So I'm in the process of talking to some of the very good, you know, companies who are masters of the art of choosing the right kind of herbs and packaging them well and bringing them here. And then I would need help of some of the people who are already practicing over here, and I would like to bring those samples. And I'm helping someone who is already into this business. A lot of people known to me whose products I was using, and I would like all of us to, test those and see how pure they are and how effective they are as compared to what we get in the grocery stores over here. So, and I would like to seek guidance of Neelamji also. She's not here. I don't see her name in this. So Neelam from Sevanti. He's been importing certain herbs, but there are certain herbs and spices which there's a lot that needs to be done in Ayurveda for this. And people are devoid of the benefits of Ayurveda. Ayurveda has got a tremendous potential. I firmly believe in it.
Did that answer your question? Do you see Orshi's question?
Elena, Suvincha. I don't know where you are, Suvincha, where you are from. Which place have you joined us from? Suvincha. Okay, from Calgary. Great. Thank you very much.
There's a question here from Orshi. What would you suggest to someone as a good practice who has high levels of cortisol?
High level of cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It is fight or flight hormone, which means when we are encountering in our daily life, we have got certain situations which trigger the fight or flight mechanism in our body. And that fight or flight mechanism, up to some extent, acute stress, when there is a challenging situation, then our body tries to fight that situation or fly away from that situation. But if there is a chronic stress, which means there is recurrence of so many events which are hampering our peaceful living, peace of mind, then we need to train ourselves how to handle that and mellow down the result of high cortisol level. So that can be done by meditation, and certain herbs can be given which are stress adaptogenic herbs. Ashwagandha is one, Sarpagandha is the other one, Brahmi is the third one, right? Bacopa moneri is the botanical name. Brahmi, if you don't know about Brahmi, Ashwagandha is Withenia somnifera, right? So these herbs have been shown to be stress adaptogenic and they calm down our nervous system. or mind. And body and mind medicine, there is a connection that when the mind is calm, then the repercussion of the high cortisol level on the body would also be reduced. The incidence of high blood pressure will be reduced due to high cortisol, due to high stressful environment within the body. Our sugar levels will be more stabilized, and we won't spike the sugar levels. And so everything which is related to stress would be controlled. So it is internal treatment as well as external treatment. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Archie. Thanks for your question. Thanks, Elena, and thanks, Erica, for your very insightful questions. Anything else I can do for you? I didn't realize that.
Does anyone else have a question? That we can have one more question at 6 o'clock. Okay, it looks like we're good. Well, thank you very much, Vaidya, Sandeep, for coming and talking to us and giving us such insight into everything that you know, or not everything, but a little bit of all the things that you know about Ayurveda. And you have his information if you'd like to get a hold of him. And thank you for coming to the Ayurvedic Association of Canada webinar. It's really important that we share Ayurveda with the entire country at some point. Ayurveda is a very important science for the future of the world and Canada in terms of how we can use, as Sandeep said, how we can use lifestyle and diet to improve so many things without even going towards formulas or medications. So thank you very much for joining us. And we will see you next month for our next presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And whenever you have the link for the recording, do share that with me also.
I will when it gets uploaded. It has to go to the club.
Yeah, I've written my phone number, direct number, but if